Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the needs around you, unsure of how your limited resources could possibly make a difference? Imagine standing in a deserted place with a sea of hungry faces before you, and all you have are 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Today, we peer into a time of scarcity from long ago and discover how it speaks to us about faith and divine provision, guiding us through our own moments of uncertainty. Consider this. A small child's offering, which seemed inconsequential in a massive crowd, became the starting point for one of the greatest miracles recorded in the Gospels. Just as those loaves and fishes multiplied to feed thousands, our seemingly meager contributions can unlock a cascade of blessings and abundance in ways we often cannot foresee. Join us as we unfold the story of the feeding of the 5,000 and its profound implications for our lives right now. In the rolling hills and arid landscapes of ancient Galilee, a multitude gathered, drawn by the promise of healing and the profound teachings of a carpenter-turned-rabbi named Jesus. Among them were the weary and the hopeful, each carrying burdens and dreams as diverse as the faces in the crowd. This setting mirrors our own world, where we come together in times of collective yearning, searching for answers to life's pressing issues. Now imagine, in this sea of need, the disciples approach Jesus with a dilemma that strikes a familiar chord. The day is fading, and the crowd is hungry, but how can one feed so many with so little? Much like us, when we face the enormity of the world's hunger, be it physical, emotional, or spiritual, we often wonder how our modest contributions can make any real difference. Yet, the narrative of the feeding of the 5,000 invites us to consider the transformative power of faith and the potential of what we hold in our hands. In Mark's Gospel, when evening came, the disciples approached and said, "This is a remote place and it's already late. Send the people away so they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat." But Jesus answered, "You give them something to eat." With just 5 loaves and 2 fish, the disciples were perplexed. They could not help but see through the lens of scarcity. In today's terms, it was as if they were asked to support a charity or solve a community issue with resources that seemed laughably insufficient. Yet the crux of the story lies not in the quantity of the provisions, but in the willingness to give what little there was. And in the hands of Jesus, that was enough. It echoes through millennia to a modern companion story. Consider Sarah, a young woman who, with limited time and resources, felt called to help the homeless in her city. Despite the overwhelming scale of the problem, she took a step of faith, starting with what she had, sandwiches made in her humble kitchen. Her small gesture sparked a movement as friends and neighbors joined in, and before long, hundreds were fed each week. Like the disciples faced with an impossible task, Sarah could have dismissed the call to act upon seeing the vastness of the need. Yet she, and all of us today, are part of the living narrative that began with a young boy's offering in ancient times. Just as 5 loaves and 2 fish became a feast for thousands, so too can our simple acts of service multiply, leaving an indelible mark on the fabric of our communities. The resonance of this miracle is not confined to the pages of history. It plays out every day when individuals dare to step forward in faith, surrendering their loaves and fishes in the face of society's hungry crowds. Therein lies the invitation for each of us, to bring what we have, however small, to the Master's table, and watch in awe as He multiplies our efforts into a harvest of hope and provision. Continuing from the reflections on faith's capacity to multiply our meager offerings, let us now delve deeper into the essence of trust and surrender. Imagine a small community battered by economic turmoil, with jobs scarce and hope even scarcer. Here we meet David, a local carpenter much like Jesus himself, who faces the closure of his workshop. The funds are depleted, he is at the brink of giving in, yet there is something unyielding within him. A fragment of faith whispering that providence can come from the most unexpected places. In stories of provision, shared over warm cups of tea and through tears of gratitude, we hear of a ripple effect initiated by David's decision not to close down, but instead to trust. He chooses to share his last bit of savings with those even less fortunate, buying food and necessities for families in need. Here, the miracle begins to unfurl. Not loaves and fishes this time, but bread and milk multiplying in the hands of neighbors. A testimonial from Maria, one of the townspeople helped by David, encapsulates the sentiment. This was no ordinary act of kindness. It was a sliver of light in our darkest hour. As word of David's deeds spread, donations poured in, and the workshop remained open, transformed into a communal haven, providing not just employment, but a place where faith and fellowship interweave. Just as the boy in the gospel offered his small lunch to Jesus and witnessed the impossible, David's workshop became a beacon of hope, demonstrating that the principles etched in ancient scripture breathe and move among us today. The feeding of the 5,000 speaks to us across the ages, reminding us that our willingness to surrender what little we have and to trust in the divine can set the stage for miracles that reach beyond our imagination. The narrative endures, calling each of us to find our version of the 5 loaves and 2 fish. It challenges us to believe in the harvest from our seedling acts of faith, assuring us that when given freely, our contributions can indeed feed multitudes in ways we may never fully comprehend, but will forever change the course of our collective journey. In the quiet times of reflection, consider this. When has a gesture of yours, seemingly small and inconsequential, unfolded into something much larger than anticipated? We are often unaware of the extent to which our actions ripple through the fabric of our communities. To bring this point home, let us turn to the story of Rachel, a college student with a heart for the homeless in her city. With little to spare from her part-time job, Rachel decides to share a portion of her groceries every week with someone in need, fully aware of the drop-in-the-ocean nature of her efforts. Yet, the true miracle emerges from her steadfast commitment. Her simple, steadfast act of sharing inspired her peers. One by one, they joined her mission. Before long, they had formed a network, widening their reach and transforming that single, modest gesture into a thriving outreach program, nourishing hundreds. As we witness Rachel's story unfold, we recognize that the act of giving, no matter how small, is never just about the gift itself, but rather about the love and hope it carries. This realization prompts us to ask ourselves, what are our 5 loaves and 2 fish today? Are we willing to offer them up, trusting that they may be multiplied in ways we can scarcely imagine? Now I encourage you to pause, look inward, and ask, have I held back my contribution thinking it was too small to matter? Reflect on this and consider sharing in the comments below. Your experience could become a testament to someone else's faith journey, reinforcing our shared belief that when acted upon, faith, no matter how small, has the power to move mountains. As we delve deeper into the narrative of the feeding of the 5,000, let us not overlook the collective heartbeat of those who gathered. Within that multitude, each individual carried a spark of faith, a yearning for nourishment, both physical and spiritual. Imagine then the incredible surge of belief rippling through the crowd as they witnessed mere morsels growing to feed them all. In our modern context, we too can experience the contagion of faith. When we band together, united by a common cause or shared belief, our singular contributions can swell into a force of substantial change. Consider the story of a small community garden. Each neighbor contributes just a few seeds, a couple of hours each week, and yet, over time, this patch of earth blossoms into a bountiful harvest, feeding families, fostering connections, and beautifying the neighborhood. This allegory illustrates that it's not solely about what we give, but also about coming together in faith and purpose. Scripture reminds us, at the heart of the miraculous is a symphony of individual acts of faith. The miracle of the loaves and fishes wasn't merely about the food, it was also about the unity and shared expectancy of those present. Now let's translate this to our lives. In what ways can our combined efforts yield extraordinary results? Can our personal faith, when joined with others, bring forth the abundance we seek? Whether it's by volunteering, participating in community outreach, or simply offering words of encouragement, every act of faith counts. We do not need to perform grand gestures to be part of something miraculous. Like the boy with his simple offering, we only need to start with what we have. By uniting our little with others, the impossible begins to take shape. So let this be a call to action. Embrace the power of collective faith. Together, let us build bridges of hope and provision, following the enduring lesson of one of Jesus' greatest miracles. As we draw to a close, it's essential to remember that each of us holds the potential to spark a miracle by bringing what we have with an open heart, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem. Just as 5 loaves and 2 fish fed a multitude, so too can our humble offerings enrich the world in unforeseen ways. This story serves not only as a testament to divine provision, but also to the power inherent in collective belief and action. Now, we invite you to carry this lesson into your life. Reflect on the gifts you possess, the resources at your fingertips, however modest they may be, and consider how they might be used to serve a greater good. Contemplate the impact of uniting those gifts with the faith and efforts of others around you. And let us know, how does the message of the feeding of the 5,000 inspire you to act, to give, to believe? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights contribute to a growing tapestry of faith and community. Subscribe to Divine Light for more illuminating content, where ancient truths meet modern challenges. Share this video with friends and family who might find hope and encouragement within its message. Join us in upcoming conversations and initiatives that embrace and extend the principles discussed today. Together, let's continue to explore, grow, and enact the miracles of providence and faith that surround us, sowing seeds of kindness and unity for the world to reap. Thank you for watching, and until next time, shine bright with the light of faith and fellowship.